What's going on, everybody? Alex Connor here with the Fearless Training Raw Knowledge podcast. Welcome back, my friends. This is another episode, and today I have another guest and another friend, very insightful, and once again sharing her experiences and her learnings. Now, just quickly before we dive into a little bit more about my guest and a bit of a brief about them, thank you for everyone again who's been tuning in to these episodes, whether that's social media via YouTube, whether that's the podcasting via iTunes, Spotify, etc. This podcast is now available on all mediums and all platforms. And once again, you can find links to all of these in the show notes below, whatever medium you are listening to them from. Now, my guest today is Jade Weller. Jade Weller is an entrepreneur and a lawyer. She works full-time for one of the biggest accounting firms in the world doing corporate restructuring. She also owns a successful business called JadeStart, which provides business coaching to startups as they launch their business for a more solid foundation, even better growth and success. Jade is actually someone who's personally helped me in the earlier stages of my career with Fearless Training as well, and she's someone that I have had many learnings from. Now, Jade didn't really follow the traditional sort of medium to her success. She decided her path when she was 25 years old, and she began studying to become a lawyer. Okay, she worked in a full-time job as a paralegal, as well as studying full-time, and she even competed in the INBA during her second year of university, which is something that we get into as well. Again, always talking about training, nutrition, lifestyle, respectively. And she hasn't slowed down either. She works still in a full-time job and runs her company while still finding the time to coagulate and foster a beautiful marriage, social life, and vitally taking care of her body, mind, and soul. So we get into a few interesting topics in here. I think those of you who are a bit more business savvy, perhaps wanting to find a better way or pursue a passion, turn it into a business, monetize it, make money from it. There's a lot of great ideas me and Jade bounce around with this episode, and probably a lot that you can take away from it to save yourself time and money, and put that towards, growing your business if it's something that you're thinking about doing too, which is something that I encourage because, if you can find something in life that you're really passionate about and you love, and you can combine those two, you can make a living from it. Now, look, money is just a byproduct of success. If that's the only reason why you're doing it, 9 times out of 10, it's probably not going to be sustainable in the long term for many reasons that we get into within this podcast. So listen out, take some notes if you have to, listen to it twice, and if you enjoyed it that much, share it with a friend or someone that you think would benefit. But without further ado, enjoy this latest podcast between myself and Jade Weller. Jade, welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Let's start off where we always do. Let's get a bit of a background about you, who you are, what you do, how you got there, and perhaps a few whys as well.
Whys, yep, no worries. So I currently am working for one of the big 4 banks in the city. I do corporate restructuring and insolvency work. I'm a lawyer. I studied at Bond for 3 years and graduated maybe 3 years ago now.
Okay.
I've got my own business, JadeStart Consulting, and I help startups set up and launch their business. And I'm also studying to become an accountant, so I've got quite a lot going on right now.
A lot on the plate.
But it's actually been like that for quite some time. So I launched my business 4 years ago, and I've been working for this corporate up in the city for the past 3 years, and before that I worked full-time as a paralegal inside a property development company in Surfers for 7 years, I think it was. So yeah, and I've been studying probably for the last 8 years. So it's been pretty consistent and pretty regular for quite some time now. So I've developed a lot of routine and a lot of good habits. Some not so good.
Yeah.
So the reason I suppose why I am where I am now, I came from a background where I didn't have a qualification or an education past grade 10. I was feeling extremely frustrated and unmotivated. By the time I sort of hit 23, 24, I was managing a lot of different departments inside Woolworths, and I knew I wasn't being used to my full capability.
Right, so you were in retail management to a degree? Okay, fair enough.
Retail. So I was always working weekends when my friends weren't, and my work came at the sacrifice of a lot of my personal life, and I didn't feel as though I was getting the benefits from my work for that kind of sacrifice. Like I wasn't being challenged, I wasn't being developed in any kind of way more than what I knew I was capable of. And so I decided I needed change. So I started working for the paralegal, as a paralegal for the in-house property developers in Surfers Paradise, working on a massive skyrise there, and fell in love with law. So
did you need any, just to quickly interject, to be a paralegal, did you need any qualifications initially to go from the management in Woolworths to the role as a paralegal?
Yeah, so I actually first got the job as a legal assistant, which is just like an assistant, and I worked in that position for 3 years. Learned a lot of the skills, and then I got a promotion to be a paralegal, and it was around that time that I started studying to become a lawyer. So I had to actually go back to school per se, get an OP qualification. So I did an advanced diploma in business, got my OP, and then I got into law, so I started studying at uni.
So a paralegal, is that someone who can assist a lawyer?
Yeah, so you
but not necessarily
the
legal documents.
No, you do everything. You do everything. You prepare everything. You know pretty much just as much as what the lawyer does. You're their support, but you just don't have that qualification.
To practice it in a court.
To practice it. Not necessarily in court, just to practice it. So you need a practicing certificate to be able to sign off on things and to be able to attach the liability to it. So I didn't have that, so I was the support until I got that qualification.
So someone really as a paralegal can get quite a way in terms of the knowledge, the systems, the operations as a paralegal before they even become a lawyer. So you can get very well prepared. I know a lot of people are probably thinking of a Netflix TV show right now.
Suits, okay.
maybe
is it like
context
Suits?
But but hey, while we're on that subject, for people listening, let's nip that in the bud. Is it like Suits?
No.
I mean, it's a TV show, right? It's a lot harder work, I'm sure.
It's a lot of drama on that show. No, especially not the type of work I did. That was more M&A style, mergers and acquisitions style.
Right.
I do a lot more like property settlements, construction contracts, intellectual property, all that kind of stuff. So it's quite different.
A different sector, if you like.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but equally as challenging.
Yeah, I can imagine so. Because like you said, for me, and to give a little context to the conversation, I think when we met and how we came in contact is obviously you've helped me start my business, and you helped me with some of the foundational, I guess, systems, if you like. You were in the paralegal role, I believe, at the time.
Yeah.
And we met in the gym. Surprise, surprise. Crossover.
I think I was doing a fitness comp around that time.
I think you were.
Or I was doing one, or I just finished one, I can't remember.
Possibly. Well, it was at the time where I just met Joel, who was still working for Body Signs at the time.
Yes.
And that's where I met you and Anna.
Yeah.
So I think you were, and you'd either just finished or you were just starting.
Yeah.
Starting out. How did that go, by the way?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I did it for different reasons too. So I did it with a best friend of mine at the time. So
let's cover it, because this is important for listeners. Let's cover this.
So I was actually in uni at the time. I was working full-time in Surfers. I was going to uni. I had what a lot of uni beginners have, which is your freshman 15. So when I first started, the routine changes when you first start uni while you're working and trying to balance your life outside of it as well. So I normally had quite a structured gym routine, and then I started uni and I had to start studying after work. So your first year you kind of just dedicate yourself to your studies, and you obviously put on weight because you're not maintaining that exercise component of it. So for me, doing the fitness comp was a goal for me to get my body back and some routine back, as opposed to winning when I jumped on stage. I teamed up with my best friend at the time. She had the winning goal, which is perfect for me because she pushed me to keep me accountable. But I did my nutrition on my own. So I had a personal trainer who trained me at the gym, and I'd show up for 2 or 3 sessions a week.
Was that World Gym Burley at the time?
No, that was at Fitness First.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So the one near to where we live, Varsity. Is that the one? Right. Okay. I'm with you. Cool.
So then he just tracked my weight loss and gave me my weight program.
Yeah.
And then I maintained my own diet. And so I've never been a massive fan on cutting everything out completely. So I maintained a lot of structure in my diet, and right up until maybe 3 weeks before my comp, I was having 1 or 2 cheat meals a week.
Nice.
Quite flexible in my diet. I would eat quite rigid throughout the week, so I would have a lot of veggies. I'd do my meal prep on a Sunday. I'd smash it out all in one day, and I'd have a whole week's worth of meals sitting in the fridge. And I'd
Easy, right?
Easy. I'd get up in the
schedule.
morning, chuck all my stuff in my esky, and I would eat my food as I went throughout the day. When I'd be at work, then I'd be at uni, and then I'd come home, and then I'd have some dinner. So It was very structured. I actually developed quite the appetite when it comes to food from it, because now I'm not fussy. I will eat my leftovers cold. I don't care how it looks or is presented, because I went for quite some time with it like that and got accustomed to it.
Yeah.
So.
You do. You get less picky, right? It's like, it's food. You're like, I'll eat it.
It's food. I'll eat it. Don't worry about putting any more attention into it. That's
and
fine.
there's never anything left. Usually, it's like you eat everything at that point. Well, I guess to delve a bit deeper, because this is really important. Something that I'm a big believer of is helping females have a better understanding of nutrition, how they don't have to starve themselves, and how weight training is beneficial if they would like to do it, and how, again, it can get them the more desired results. But I think there's some education there. I think a lot of females would understandably maybe scared to eat a little bit more food, or maybe scared to go into some structure. So would you be able to share, especially for those listening who may be in that position, or maybe are not yet there, what sort of calories you run at the highest point when maybe you're in a gaining phase, and the lowest, and then maybe a typical day in the life, just to give people, again, some idea of what you're eating, what foods that they could be eating, and calories. So I think that's quite important.
So I think of my highest, I was probably up around nearly 3,000 calories a day.
That's good.
And I ate a lot. I ate every 2.5 hours I start to get hungry. Every 3 hours I was savage.
So you were listening to your body. If you were hungry, you made sure you had something. And
I didn't eat large portions. I ate sort of small portions, maybe like 2 fists worth, and that would do me. I would have veggies in every portion with some meat. Obviously, I don't. My diet's not quite like that now, but it would just it would just be enough to sort of fill me up, keep me going. I had my snacks. So I'd eat nuts. I'd eat some fruit, and I would. It would start from maybe, so in the morning I'd have a shot of coffee with some coconut oil in it, and that would...
Right, okay. What's that? I've not tried it with coconut oil. What's that like? Because I've tried it with cream, because I know that fat and coffee
It's
I'll have to
really
give it a
nice
go.
with coconut oil, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's beautiful. So my personal trainer at the time told me about it. He said, try and start your morning on fats, and then you can then sort of have your carbs throughout the day or towards the end of the day. One thing I always did try and do was try not to have fats and carbs together. So if I was going to have something that was quite fatty, I would just not really have as many carbs with it, or I would have a lot of carbs and just hardly any fats.
Sure.
But for my body type, I think it's just listening to your body. So for me, I really honed in on what made me feel good, what didn't, what times of day I had a lot of energy, what times I didn't. And then it's about weaving in exercise, and exercise often when you're not feeling so energetic can be a good boost of energy.
Yes.
So often in the afternoons I'd feel a slump because I'd been awake for so long. So then if I was able to get in some training, even if it's just a half an hour or a 40-minute session, I hated cardio, I still do. So I would often go in and smash weights, and I would just alternate different body parts, or upper or lower, or maybe do some HIIT sessions or something. But all the way up to my comp, I never did cardio per se, unless it was a walk. And then come to the evening. So I and then the low point when I was getting towards the tail end of my comp prep, I was probably maybe on 1,300 calories at my lowest. And that was having regular recharge days as well. So I wouldn't sustain that for a long period of time.
So you'd have like a higher carb day or a cheat day, or just something with a bit more food in it. How often would you do that at the most? Like sort of 2 times a week?
So at the start, not as maybe once a week, because I was still having quite a lot of calories. And then towards the tail end, 2 times a week, just so that I kept my energy levels up. I actually did water loading before my comp prep. I didn't personally enjoy the experience at all. I felt like I was drowning. With every mouthful of water I had to have, it was just too much for my body. And did I feel as though it gave me a massive edge It probably did, because I had a really solid six-pack right before I had to eat ice cream to fill it out, because the category I was going in, you weren't allowed to have a solid six-pack.
Yes. Yeah. Were you in, was it fitness then?
I was in bikini, but I did novice fitness as well while I was there.
Because they don't like the girls too defined, do they?
No. And I didn't...
You can be too defined.
Yeah, well, only on my stomach. I wasn't too defined anywhere else. I was perfect for bikini everywhere else, but my stomach was just far too shredded. So I had to eat like sorbet ice cream and like sugary stuff a day or two before the comp, just to try and fill it out a little bit. Yeah.
End up looking better.
Exactly. And I actually bought Sophie Gullin was doing my bikini, my posing practice. So she was giving me little tips along the way as well to try and help bring me in on my stage day. And on the day, I felt amazing, and I was really happy with how I looked. I didn't win, but I wasn't upset about that at all, because there was some
that wasn't why you did it.
And that wasn't why I was there.
Which is, I think, another important point. I'm glad you said that, because just for male and female, people do it for the wrong reasons, and I think you've got to do it for yourself first and foremost. Then why is that reason? Again, for you, it was
to get my body back.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd always been tiny, and I put on all this weight, so I was like, I'm really uncomfortable.
It's like two birds with one stone, right?
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day, which is great. And then, so like you said, you still enjoyed the experience, not only the journey, but leading up to it. But then your main goal was accomplished.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually became a very mean cook on the sandwich press. At work, we had a sandwich press.
Oh, the sandwich press.
And I would cook chicken stir fry, scrambled eggs, pancakes.
You can do a lot on a sandwich press.
You can. I think there should be a recipe book with sandwich press recipes.
It's amazing how resourceful you get, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that time with not restrict. Well, it is restricted eating, but I think you make a little go a long way, and then it does. A lot of that, or some of that, definitely transfers into when you go back to eating more food or off season or whatever you may want to call it, and you become a little bit more strategic in your approach, which is good. What were your favourite things when you had like a refeed or a cheat day? Was there any particular foods that you craved that you really like?
Yeah.
And also, did you find that you ate more? Obviously, you had more of the cheat days towards the end, but how did you control that? Or did you never get to a point where your hunger was too insatiable, if you like? Where to the point where you were like, wow, I just want to eat. Do you know, for example, so when you got near the end, you were like, the cheat days got bigger or got longer or carried over?
Yeah. I remember just the comp was in early May, and it was right before Easter. And I was... Obviously, Easter's a terrible time of year to be doing any kind of comp prep, especially if you love chocolate. So I had to actually rein it in because it was going over 2.5 days, and I was like, "Come on, Jade, pull it in." But I'm not. And
we are in Easter at the minute. Exactly. Well, just gone.
But I'm not actually a massive chocolate fan. So for me, it's more donuts, burgers, pancakes. I'm more of a savoury kind of sweet savoury. Yeah. So we would often go out and have burgers or a pizza or. Donuts. Love donuts. So I found the way I sort of controlled it was because I had a goal. It was like, okay, this is really good, but come Monday, I was back on track again because I had a goal to accomplish.
Yes.
And I think that when you're contemplating, is it really worth it? Do I really want to do this? I really just want to have this type of food.
Yes.
I had other go-to things I would make, like some low-calorie
like a substitute.
Which would often... And I find that once you sort of curb your cravings back on track, it's really easy. You don't even really feel like it anymore.
Because you have that flexibility, which I'm glad you mentioned once again for the viewers, people watching, for women. Again, it's not about saying, no, I can't have that. It's about saying, well, maybe I'll have a little bit of that, or maybe I'll find an alternative.
Yeah.
But in experience, when you say, I can't eat that food...
You want it more.
Exactly. You've created
100%.
a boundary in a box that you didn't need to, and then, again, it's that unhealthy relationship starts and it gets worse, where, like you said, if you kind of, come up with a substitute, etc., which...
Actually,
what are some of the...
Squirms.
I was going to say, what are your things?
I had a packet of squirms.
The old squirm.
Sitting in the glove box of the car. I loved them. And so how I actually justified it to myself, which was good science. I said to myself...
Here we go. This is good science. Not bad science. Good science.
For you.
We've labelled this. This is a new term.
When my metabolic window was open, I just did a massive weight session. I would walk out of the gym, jump into the car, open the glove box, smash my squirms. or I'd go on the way home to IGA, get a box of those little mini donuts, and I'd eat them on the way home.
Nice.
And I had burnt so many calories in that session that I was never worried about it being stored as fat.
So you had it at a more strategic time when your body was in need of fuel, replenishment, etc. And that's really good.
And I still lost weight with it. So
there you go. But it worked, right? Because you were still in a deficit.
Yeah.
So where did you go from? Because I really want to just probe around this subject a little bit more, because I think it's a really good one, and I think a lot of people will benefit from it. What were you doing before you started in terms of nutrition and training, and how did you evolve it? So obviously you weren't happy with, the way you were. Now, you obviously mentioned because you were more sedentary. You were more sat down, you weren't as active. Did you go from a point where, when you were doing all that study, and before you set this goal, like you weren't training at all, or maybe it was sort of like once, twice, and it was sort of sporadic training, and you were just sort of eating whatever? And then did it go to maybe you actually eating more or more consistently or better quality of food, and then you went and said, obviously you had the flexibility, but then you went from say, okay, I'm going to train at least 3 or 4 days a week within that. Like, can you give us that picture of where you were when you were unhappy with your physique, and then what you were doing, obviously.
What my journey was.
Yeah, what your journey was. And then maybe another point, again, 3-part question, big one, but the transition, and then we can isolate that a little bit more, like after the competition, because I think that is a really important transition which people get wrong. And I know it's different depending on what category you're in. The ladies who are in the figure and physique who get leaner, the leaner you get, the harder it is to transition out. But I would like to, if we can cover that.
So before
Please.
I'll go back to when I was working at Woolworths, I was lifting a lot. I would lift milk crates full of milk and like throw them around. I was doing a lot.
Really active.
I was very active at work, so I never did any training outside of work. It was more like, fishing, relaxing, doing all that kind of stuff. So
you were working long hours.
I was working long hours. I was on my feet all the time. I was lifting heavy weights at work, so it was not an issue. Then when I transitioned to my office job, it was very different. I was sitting down every day. I wasn't training. And I did well to keep the weight off for a while, because I started, doing just little bits and pieces with my now husband at the time. And then I still didn't find, it's really hard when you're trying to get fit. You need to find something you enjoy doing, because you need to look forward to doing it.
Yes.
And I hadn't found that yet. So he actually got me into Fitness First to start doing some weight training with him, and started meeting everybody there. And I found that I actually became really excited to socialise with everybody there. And then I started to feel more confident and get into the weight side of things, because it wasn't so daunting training. I know for women, they hate training in the men's area where there's men training a lot of weights. So for me, if I made friends with everybody there, because Aaron was friends with everybody there, then that fear is not there anymore.
Intimidating.
It's not so intimidating. And then everybody gives you tips and they all help you, and then you start to feel a bit more empowered. So then that happened, and I started to get quite fit, and then I started uni, so then that had to come at a sacrifice. So again, going back to sitting down, not moving, not training, putting on weight, and for your mental health, it's not very good for you. So I found getting a personal trainer gave me the accountability. I had to show up. I couldn't just cancel. And that's more what I paid him for, not so much
the knowledge,
because I had been weight training for quite a few years in the lead up to that, so I knew how to do it. It was just more the accountability, pushing me,
having a bit of structure.
Having some structure, and then in the lead up to I was just doing a lot of weights. I didn't do any cardio. Then post comp, this is the part everyone gets wrong, and that's the reverse. So I went and ate whatever I want for 2 weeks just because I could, but it didn't make me feel good at all. Like, I felt so swollen with water weight. It actually hurt. Like, this is not something that people tell you that happens when you're so lean and then you eat so much sugar. The sugar needs water to be able to fill it up, and you get so swollen, and it was so sore. I couldn't train. I had to actually start using the sauna to try and lose a lot of the water weight, to try and get rid of the pain, and then I could get back into the gym again. And so then that was like a lesson. I was like, I can't be eating like this all the time, because it's just not good for me. So then
it can be quite dangerous as well. Some people do end up in hospital, like, and the more extreme cases, etc. But you're right. It's the inflammatory response is not good.
No.
Were you after you finished comp, were you at a point where you were like, wow, you felt like really, because you had a more flexible approach, were you really like, wow, I want to go out and just smash everything inside, like dreaming about food? Or was it more, yeah, you know what, I've hit my goal, I definitely want a treat, and I've been craving X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I think it was more...
Where were you really, like, physiologically, how are you feeling? And versus mentally?
Feeling good. My problem was I didn't have the next goal. So it was like...
I see. So you had no target. So
I had no target next.
Yes,
and
this is a good...
There's only twice in my life I've ever experienced it. One was when I finished my comp, and then I was like, what now? And then the second time was when I graduated uni, got admitted as a lawyer, and then I was like, what now? Because they're such long goals, you work for so long, like for a comp you're working for, you know, anywhere from 12 weeks to 24 weeks, maybe even longer to do a comp. And that's all you think about, and that's your reason for every time you say no, every time you sacrifice something, that's your reason. And then when you get to the end of it, this bizarre thing happens where you're like, what's the reason I'm going to say no for now? And so I think mentally you need to prepare yourself to have a reason after as well, not just for the day, because that's where you can then suffer a lot of depression, you can get, you know, lose your way a little bit with your food,
the
and
post-comp blues.
Lack of exercise, exactly, the post-comp blues. So I found that to be very interesting, and I'm quite in tune with my emotions, so I noticed that was what was going on. So then I had to be like, okay, I need to set myself another goal. So then it was going to be to try and keep fit throughout the rest of my uni, because I found that it gave me a lot of clarity. It helped with my study routine. I was able to go out and socialise without feeling overweight and yucky. So not that I could all the time, but it just made me feel more confident too. So for me, it was about getting to the end of uni
so you set that with a goal and you reevaluated.
So I actually switched between cooking my meals throughout the time to getting meal prep done.
Right.
So when I had time, I would do it myself. Coming into assignments and exam times, I'd actually buy like a food service that would deliver all the meals. I think it was U Foods at one stage. And
save you the time. Again, just a bit of structure and accountability there and fill in the gaps.
Yeah. And I because by that stage, I already knew roughly, I wasn't counting my calories to a T, but I knew if I ate this, it was around this many calories. If I ate this, it was around this many calories. So I kind of knew to keep the calories quite low, but keep the portions high, like a lot of meals throughout the day, and then that way I was...
Keep yourself satiated rather than letting the hunger build up, and then you're more likely to snack and tempted by things that you don't like.
And again, we were just talking about this before, when you got to listen to your body. Like some people said to me, you need to eat a lot of fats, don't eat a lot of carbs, but my body's always responded to carbs as a source
Everyone
of
gives
fuel,
you different
not fats.
advice. So
it's about, I tried both, and I was like, I respond so much better if I have carbs. When
so
I
like
don't
a
have
higher
carbs,
carb rate intake versus
if I don't, I get like shaky and I get jittery and I can't think. And so for my body, I've always noticed, okay, well, if this is what works for me, I need to do this. So I think it's about listening to your body and working out how you are best optimized, because it's all life hacking, right? Biohacking.
It is. Yeah, and it's a really important point, because, you know, as a human being, which most of us are, and if you're not, send us in a message, look at me.
How did you get here?
Yes, and please give us the answers. Elon Musk calling you out. We generally run better on carbohydrates, you know, from a physiological standpoint. But you're right, there are a small percentage of people who, you know, the ketogenic approach is a little bit better, and we've got all these other strategies. But we've got the science there, which is good, and it's important you mention that, because it's about finding your way, using the science, but then also having that balance between evidence, but then anecdote, like experience, like you said. Common sense. You eat something, we talked about it before, do I feel good? No. Is it consistently when I have that food? All right, remove that. Don't change everything at once, because you don't know. And don't be too extreme. But again, like you said, you sort of hack and customize over time. Did you find going from, you know, tracking your own calories, which you were doing, to not tracking, did you have any issues there, and how did you approach that? Was it easy for you in terms of mental state, because you'd had so much structure, you didn't have a problem with going, want to check the calories and the macronutrients to see if I'm round about where I need to be? Or was it a little bit of like a step off the edge or into the unknown initially, when you just went to, you know, what we call mindfully eating, or just again being human, eat when you're hungry, listening to the internal cues?
I think it depends on how much time you spend in the lead up to it when you are tracking your macros. So for me, I'd spent quite a few months watching what I'd been eating, tracking my macros. So for me, I was able to make a dinner and know roughly how many calories were in it because I'd put it into MyFitnessPal so many times that I kind of knew a rough gauge. So when I sort of stopped counting it, I knew I was roughly between here and here every day. And then I don't necessarily weigh myself. I maybe weigh myself 3-4 times a year, and I track myself by looking in the mirror, by clothes, how do clothes feel, how do I look when I look in the mirror, what's my muscle definition like, the areas that I know I store fat on, am I putting weight on in those areas, am I not? So for me, that's how I was able to gauge if I was having too much, too little, and you tend to get a bit puffy. Like for me, I get puffier in certain areas if I'm putting on weight initially, so I'm able to watch those areas and go, okay, you know, around my face and my upper body, am I getting a bit puffy? If I am, I'm having a few too many calories. So then I would usually have a deficit day, where the next day I would maybe not eat until lunchtime or have an intermittent fast, or which would kill me because my metabolism was so high. But or I would just scale it back and have a few less calories, and by the end of the week it balanced it out.
Okay, there you go. So you had like a subjective, objective approach. Because of the structure you had, it gave you the faith to go, well, I kind of know whereabouts I'm at. And again, common sense, how you feel, you're in touch with, you know, how you look, etc. And again, I guess not being so focused on the measurements, like the scale weight, you know, exactly the calories, etc. Maybe how you looked versus, you know, 2 weeks ago, which again is hard. And again, maybe arguably, I think just for men, you know, people say it's harder for females. A lot of men just don't admit they are very self-conscious as well. But again, we can get to that point where we're maybe weighing ourselves too much, having too many looks in the mirror from a point of, oh, I'm getting fat or this, that, and the other, and then not being able to step away and get back to those, I guess, good relationships with nutrition and healthy habits. So
to put it into perspective, this is the reason I don't weigh myself, is right now I am 1 kilo heavier than I was when I was on stage.
There you go.
My body shape is very different because I don't train weights anywhere near as much as what I used to now, and so my body, I've got a lot of muscle memory and I've got a great muscle base, and so I'm able to keep a physique, but I'm not lean like I was when I jumped on stage. And so that's just shows you, like, you know, if you go by scales, it's not always going to be right either. So it's always, that's why I didn't adopt that methodology when I was seeing my progress.
Because it's a linear approach. You're looking at it one-dimensionally rather than, like you said, it can be the same weight sometimes and have a very different body composition. So what are, to segue into the next question, and what are your goals at the minute with what you're doing? Like, what are you happy with? What have you found? I know you mentioned briefly your nutritional preferences have changed. You just mentioned to us then the way you exercise has changed. Can you talk us through those factors and how that integrates with your lifestyle now, with your business and you know, what, I guess your partner as well, Aaron, and how you fluctuate that together?
So we tend to go through phases in what we like to do for training. So for ages it would be, you know, one particular style of training, which might be alternating body type, body weight, body parts for weight training, and then it might transition into more of, you know, an upper lower split with maybe something outside of gym. But lately I've actually been really quite bored inside the gym because I've been there for so long, so now I've actually been looking to external activities. So we do a lot of surfing, and I find if I surf 3-4 times a week, it's quite an extensive workout for your upper body.
It is.
My arms, my back, my everything just gets a caning for that 3 set, and then I usually
gets the old heart rate going as well. Isn't it? How you diving under.
Exactly. So I usually do that, and then I'll do a booty exercise maybe once or twice a week, just to keep the lower body in check. My dietary preferences have changed, so I found I was getting quite sick. Well, I was dairy intolerant, and I was just not feeling very good. Meat doesn't really sit well with me either, so I decided to give vegan a try, and my body just flourished once I became a vegan. I was so much healthier. My skin went super soft. I was so much happier mentally. My hormones are great. So for me, it was a really good choice. My husband tried it, and it wasn't the right choice for his body type. So now he just has cut back the amount of protein he has, because I think that's another false perception. Guys think they need all this protein, but they don't.
Most people either have way too much or not enough.
Exactly. So he only has meat once or twice a week now, and he feels amazing from it. And then in terms of how I tie that in with my busy lifestyle, so I go up to Brisbane 3 days a week to work up there. I work from home 2 days a week, so I've got a routine now where set days we'll usually get up at sunrise, go for a surf for a couple of hours, come back, and I'll hook into some work, do my client meetings, do my after work client meetings, my business prep, all that kind of stuff. So for me, getting in and getting training first thing in the morning, either doing training at the gym, like with Booty, or surfing. And if I stick to that routine on a, say for example, a Tuesday, Thursday, and maybe a Saturday, then I'm so good throughout the week. So I also, I think I mentioned to you before, I found another hack for me is making sure my diet has 50% raw veggies.
Yes.
So I feel full, I'm not eating as many calories because it's not processed. And yeah, I find if I do that, I'm losing weight more often than not. I have to...
Like a deficit.
Yeah.
You have to eat more.
I have to eat more. So that
When?
Yeah, exactly. When I first went vegan, I actually lost maybe 5-6 kilos, just from
there you go.
just all the processed crap I was eating. So
Carbohydrates, etc.
Yeah.
So let's get an example then of a day in the life of your nutrition before becoming vegan, and a typical day now you are vegan. Like, can we go through meal by meal?
Yeah.
Because I know people watching will ask this.
Yeah. So for breakfast, for example.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
I struggled when I first went vegan because I always had eggs on toast.
Yeah, options, right?
Yeah.
Because and this is, I think, another why I'm asking, because I know people always struggle.
Yeah.
And they just they're interested, and they might hear this and go, "Oh, that's a really good idea." And even people who are not vegan, I mean, it might just be a good option.
Yeah, exactly.
I know I eat vegan food, so I
you eat more vegan. Everyone eats more vegan than they think they do.
They do. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I just had a massive bowl of sweet potato, so it's like
sweet potato fries. That's vegan.
Exactly.
No, actually, I found the breakfast transition the hardest because I would always have eggs on toast,
right,
with avocado. Or some meat or whatever, like salmon or whatever, and then going vegan, I was like, I can't have eggs anymore. What am I going to have? I'm a little bit flexible with the vegan, so I went without eggs for nearly a year, and then I was realising I wasn't having enough fats because I wasn't eating it as much avocado because they were $5 each. So
I was going to say that's a bit...
I was like, somebody's got to give here. Are they going to start buying a lot of avocados, or going to start eating?
Do you like the shepherd avocados too, the other ones?
Yeah.
Because I mean, at first I didn't like them, but I almost like them more now.
Yeah.
They're really nice.
I'm not that fussy.
Just on a side, but continue.
So I was having eggs with avocado on toast, and then I went to having overnight oats. So I'd put a cup of oats, a cup of milk, some turmeric powder, and some dates, and I'd chuck it in the blender, and I'd sit it in the fridge overnight. And then in the morning...
You just let it swell with the water
it just swells instead. No water, just that.
Oh, right,
Just cup of milk, cup of oats.
Oh, yeah, because it's got the milk, the liquid.
Yeah, and then some dates. And then I'd leave that sit, and then the next morning I put some coconut yogurt on top with some strawberries. And I swear I went through a phase where I had that every day for 3 months, and then I got sick of it.
I can imagine. It's like a cake.
Yeah, it was delicious.
I have something similar. Actually, it's... Apart from the dairy yogurt, it's the same. Yeah. So it would almost be vegan. But yeah, I know what you mean. When you find something, it's great, right?
Yeah. And so then I got sick of that, so I was like, what am I going to have next? But what I was saying, I got flexible, so I started bringing eggs back into my diet. So maybe a couple of days a week, I'll have some eggs on toast.
And you find they sit well?
Yeah, they sit well.
That's not a problem. Okay,
that's not a problem. I'm a little bit OCD, so I was like, if I'm going to be vegan, I have to be proper vegan. So I was like, no, I don't need to be.
You can make your own up.
Yeah. So I still eat honey, I still eat eggs, and that's about it. So just no dairy, no meat.
Cool. So you went from like eggs on toast to the overnight oats, now you integrated eggs back, and then what would your next meat? So
then the other option I have now is I have a green smoothie. So I will chop up cucumber, celery, ginger, turmeric, kale, frozen banana, kiwi fruit for vitamin C, and a lime. And I would put that with some coconut water in a blender, and I'd make myself a green smoothie. And that was like, because I like to have half raw veggies, that went to like maybe a quarter of my raw veggie intake. Yeah. And then the lunch would be the next portion of raw veggies. So now I have that, and I'm more than happy with it. Because I think it's not an overload, like such heavy carbs.
It's quick on the go as well.
It's quick on the go. It's quite light. I'm able to.
Nice.
Yeah. That keeps me going till about 11 o'clock in the morning, which is good.
So do you snack in between the breakfast and the lunch? Do you have something else, or does that just depend on how you're feeling?
It depends on how I'm feeling. If I've done a really heavy workout, I might be pretty hungry sort of before lunch, so then I'll just have lunch early. Usually have something quite filling, and then that'll tie me through to most of the day. And then I still eat it usually every sort of 3 hours. That doesn't change, but it's just if I'm quite hungry, I'll have a bigger portion. Or maybe something with a bit more carbs, like
what does lunch look like? Lunch and dinner?
So lunch can be anything from a wrap, You can buy these really nice sweet potato vegan wraps from Woolies, and they're really flexible.
I've
they
seen
don't
them,
crumble.
actually.
They're so good. So I'll usually load them up with a heap of different, grated beetroot, carrot, veggies or whatever. Or I will make chopped up raw veggie salad. So I'll chop up little bits of apple, capsicum, cucumber, corn, and just chuck everything in there. Some sunflower seeds, for dressing, I'll squeeze lime with a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and I'll mix that all the way through. Some kale, some cabbage. I just put everything all through. Yeah. And that's pretty filling too, so I'll have that. Every now and then I might have a Subway veggie sub, a 6-inch veggie sub.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, treat yourself. Had one today actually.
That's it. Got to do it.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
Yeah, but that's usually lunch. Otherwise, if I'm running low on some fresh veggies, I might have a curry or something from the night before.
Right. Yeah.
That I've made. But yeah, and then dinner's I usually snack between then and dinner, so I'll have some almonds, or I'll have just something sometimes I'll make a low carb banana bread, or just something, I don't know, some apple muffins or something. I'll
just
have those. Yeah, one of those or something. But yeah.
How do you go with because two questions come up in my mind, I think, for people who are more on the vegetarian, vegan side of things, or maybe people who just don't eat meat, is fiber. Having too much of it, or if you do, or how do you find that has affected you? Obviously you seem to be sitting right with it, you're not having too much, but I know people can go to OTT, they can have distended stomach, etc., and they can always feel a bit not too good, or toilet time's not quite.
I think what people get it wrong is they have too much what I call vegan junk food, which is too much processed vegan food.
Yes,
that's like
that also does not.
It's not good. No, it's no different than having normal processed food. I think no matter whether you're vegan, whether you're a meat eater, it doesn't matter. You need to have a healthy amount of veggies in your diet. And if you don't have a healthy amount of veggies in your diet, your bowels and everything are not going to be functioning properly. And that includes having foods with fibre in it. And I think if you're somebody who naturally absorbs a lot of fibre, then obviously you don't need to have a lot of foods with fibre. But if you're not, then eat more pears, eat more bananas, eat more foods with fibre in it. So.
You find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
And what about conversely protein?
Yep.
Getting enough protein in.
Yeah.
How do you find you make up for that? Because obviously that, like you even said with your breakfast, that was a bit of a straight away, the eggs are not there anymore. And so how do you find that you top up or keep your protein at a rate or at an intake that is, good for your body?
I have lentils, and I don't really eat a lot of the canned stuff because it's not so it's not as good. I usually buy the raw lentil stuff, the dry lentils that you can get in the packet, and I'll use them in curries or whatever, or just dinners
they
that
swell
I
up, man.
make, lasagnas and stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I have vegan protein powder. So Body Science do a really, really good one, and I'll often, for dessert, for example, I was telling you just before, I'll make frozen bananas, some frozen strawberries, some vegan protein powder, some coconut water, and I'll make it till it's like a sorbet consistency almost, and then I'll have that with some cacao nibs on top, and it's quite low in calories and there's a protein in it. And,
gets the sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Are you someone as well? Because I know I am. I have dessert.
Yeah. You have to have something.
But some people don't, and I'm like, what do you do? How? And they just have dinner and then they go bed, and for me that's like, I mean, I can do that. It's not like I have to, but generally the way my nutrition pans out, I always leave some calories because I don't know, that's the way I've been brought up, right? And again, that's a lifestyle choice. That's something that's hidden in there. Do you obviously you find someone that you need to have that, like it helps?
I don't need to have it every day. It just depends on what I've had throughout the day. So if I have something quite sweet throughout the day, I feel like I've ticked that box for the day. But if I've been super lean and super strict all day, I'd be like, nah, treat yourself. It's time for dessert. Yeah. So yeah.
And what do you do then when you really want to treat yourself? Like you mentioned raw desserts, etc. But say you and Aaron go out for a meal, or like you go out on a cheat day, or do you do that anymore? Do you ever go for a bender of a day, or do you feel the need, or is there one place or a restaurant or a certain food that you like to treat yourself with?
Yeah, there's a few really good vegan restaurants. There's one here on the Gold Coast called Greenhouse.
Just around the corner.
Yeah, and they have the best food. So
they come up a lot, like even not in the vegan community.
Because it's all amazing.
I've got to go.
You will love it. You'll love it.
I've heard good things.
It's just so tasty. So like that, we'll often go there for dinner, or we'll get pizza, or like you can get with vegan cheese on top. We might make homemade pasta. We got a pasta maker at home, so we'll make some fresh pasta, which is So good.
All about the pasta life.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll come back to...
Oh, and donuts. If I'm going to the paddock,
Yeah,
I
how
have
do
to have
you...
a donut.
Have they got vegan donuts?
No, they've got like a salted caramel one, so there's a bit of dairy in
Because
there.
I've had a vegan donut, but I've never had a good vegan donut.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to try a good one. I'm sure they are around.
Yeah.
Again, not had one, etc. Because I think Donut Time used to make them, but they're back now, new ownership. I don't know, but yeah.
For
There
me,
is more and
sometimes
more
I really
options.
want to have like that cheat meal, but it comes at the sacrifice. If I'm going to have donuts or ice cream, or I accept and know that within half an hour to an hour I'm going to feel yuck because I'm dairy intolerant. So
Right.
sometimes for me, if I'm having something that's my ultimate favourite, so my ultimate favourite is the caramel tarts, but the caramel that's boiled with condensed milk, like the good caramel, not the caramel slice type caramel that's like a mix
The
of other
real
things.
caramel.
The real caramel, that's it. That's my ultimate
So you
favourite.
will just...
I
That's
will
a sacrifice
feel
you
sick
will make.
100% if they've got the real caramel tarts.
There you go. And how long does it last for that you don't feel too well for?
The rest of the day.
Okay.
Usually pretty like,
I see.
like just sluggish, no energy, feel quite irritable in the stomach. Yeah.
So maybe a couple of times a year thing at best.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Or if I've got nothing on for the rest of the day, I'm just going to watch movies anyway.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit down Netflix and
Netflix,
caramel
tart
tart it.
Tart it out.
Why not? Why not, right? If you're going to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for sharing that element, Jade. Now, another topic I want to talk to you about is, you've already mentioned this, people listening will probably already put this together, you lead a very busy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It'd be fair to say that you have more of an entrepreneurial mindset,
Mm-hmm.
you're very driven and very goal-orientated. It's the same with Aaron as well,
Mm-hmm.
your husband, you guys are go-getters. How do you, for other people out there who lead these busy lifestyles but perhaps have not quite got their health under control,
Mm-hmm.
do you think, from a third person perspective, or what advice do you think you offer, or how do you manage it together to be able to sustain the level of focus and discipline you need, not only within the business realms and the more, your, I guess, professional lifestyle, but also the health and fitness? Because I feel this is something that's not really talked about that much, and I would like to derive this information speaking to people like yourselves. And maybe if you could share some of what's worked for you, maybe some hacks. Maybe some mistakes that you've made as well. And just your general knowledge or experience on the matter.
So I've got two hacks I use. One is time management, and the second is delegation.
I think you taught me a lot about time management, actually. I'll be honest with you, very organised. I will hold my hand up. I've taken a big leaf out of your book in that respect.
So I think when you've got so much on you, have you ever heard the saying, when you want something done, give it to a busy person? And
no.
Oh, it must be an Australian saying.
Is it?
Must be. But yeah, it means,
Okay.
basically what it means is a busy person's always going to find a way to get it done because they're so efficient with the way that they're doing things. Whereas
I've
somebody
got the opposite experience.
Have
You can't
you?
get hold of the bleeders. Maybe that's why we don't have the saying in England. He's too busy, mate, don't worry about it. No, this is good. This is conversing. No, but the principle is
So
there.
the principle is, something don't give it to a busy person. And the reason being is because we know that we don't have later to do something. So if, for example, I've got to have a shoot done and a lecture done within the week, and I've also got, 10 clients to get through and a full-time job to get through, if I've got set times to do set things, there's no, I'll do it later. It's, you have to get in and get it done. And the sort of tricks that I implement to changing your mindset to be able to get into something, because I think that can be the hardest part, is if your mind's elsewhere, you're not really wanting to do it, so you don't do something well. Like you're going to the gym, your mind's elsewhere. How do you get into the gym to be able to do it well?
For sure.
Or you're sitting down to do some work and you're feeling exhausted. How do you get in that state of flow? So my tricks are that I have playlists, dedicated playlists for certain tasks. So if I'm going to the gym, then I've got more of a heavier playlist. If I'm doing some study, I've got a really upbeat classical playlist. If I'm doing some work, then I've got a more funky playlist that's going to put me in a feel-good mood. And then I always tackle the hardest thing first.
Eat the frog.
Eat the frog. And that's because...
I think I got that term from you.
Maybe not the eat the frog, but definitely the...
There's someone else who reminded you then. I'm sure it was a female entrepreneur, and she said eat the frog first. But anyway, there you go.
The reason being is you always feel so accomplished after you've done it, and it just puts you in the best frame of mind for the rest of the day, because everything else seems so small and minor compared to that hard task that you didn't want to do. So that's the time management piece. And then the second part is delegation. And I think where a lot of people go wrong is they think they have to do everything, and they don't. So being able to go, what's going to save me more time in the week? Is my time best spent doing this task, or am I going to be able to spend my time somewhere else and get 10 other things done and pay someone to do that task? So for example, keeping the house clean is a pain in the ass, but it's something we all want to live in a clean house.
Yes.
So if you don't have time to clean, pay somebody $50, for an hour's work to come in twice a week and keep the house clean.
Yeah.
And that $100, you can spend your time then, which would have taken you half a day,
yes.
doing a business, or doing meal prep, or doing something else. The other thing is, if I'm going through a really busy period of time, I don't cook. I will just either Aaron will cook, or we will go buy food.
Yep.
So we just won't do any veggie shopping, and instead we'll spend that money going and getting food out, like finding cheap places to go and eat.
Yep.
Or I get meals delivered, either other.
Yep.
So, and it's not all the time, it's just whenever I've got intense periods of time, and that's again delegating the cooking to somebody else. So I have, for my business, I've got people I delegate things to that need to get done.
Sure.
My husband's quite the opposite, so his biggest struggle is learning to delegate, because he thinks the best person to do the job's him. And
yeah,
so,
I can relate. Maybe that's a male thing.
Yeah, quite possibly actually. Now you said that, a lot of my clients are the same, that are guys as well, and I think it's because they feel as though if they're going to feel accomplished, it needs to be them that does it. But when you're an entrepreneur and you have a business, there's this shift that happens where you go from working in your business to working for your business. And that shift happens when you learn to manage. Yes. And that's manage people, manage time, manage tasks, delegate. Because you can't always be wearing every hat, doing every job in your business. You have to learn to let go of control, step out and give that to somebody else. So I think this whole delegation principle is so applicable in fitness, in lifestyle, because imagine if you could delegate the cleaning and the cooking to somebody else, and you have more time on a weekend for lifestyle, and you could go for a surf. You could start doing the things that make you happy, so that mentally you've got really good mental health. Mm-hmm. So for me, surfing, if I don't surf, I get quite irritable after a couple of weeks, because
it's a balance. You're out there.
I leave my phone. I've got no technology on me. I leave my phone at home. I'm able to sit in the water, and I'm only thinking about which way a wave's going to break, left or right. And
yeah, it's nice to just simplify things.
Exactly. So I wouldn't be able to do that if I had control of every single aspect of my life. Instead, I've got to learn to let go.
Sure. I think there's some great hacks there. Definitely some that I've learned the hard way as well. Maybe
I've learned the hard way too.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why you're at where you're at, and you've developed these systems. You're aware of them, because you're like, hey, well, maybe I've not done them, and then I've done them, and I've learned to do them. And again, whether or when and how you learn to do them, it doesn't really matter. It's just getting there. But hopefully people listening, maybe in this situation, maybe they've not discovered that yet, they can start to maybe implement those tools.
Yeah.
I know music's a great one. Again, I have different playlists for different things, etc., depending on the topics.
Yeah.
And then, outsourcing. That's something we talked about last catch-up, how outsourcing can help massively. And I didn't do it for a while, but I learned that by outsourcing again, you can save yourself a lot of time, especially if you're paying someone who's much better in that field, that can do it in quicker time. Yeah. Really, your time is then best spent in other areas.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right, hacks.
Yes.
Share away your other hacks.
Another hack is to make sure you're having enough sleep. So I find when I'm not having enough sleep, I'm not as productive. Mm-hmm. So I know we just talked off camera a little bit about when is your most optimum time of day to be able to get the most accomplished. So for my husband, he is extremely active at night, whereas I'm extremely active in the morning, which, I mean, it's not great for our routine, because as soon as I open my eyes, I'm like, see, like an energized bunny, right, need to go. And he's like, see you in a few hours, I'm just going to lay here and chill.
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
Whereas at night time, sort of 9:30, I'm starting to get like, I'm done, I need to go to bed. I just get so tired. And he's like raging in the office, just like smashing out of here. He often won't come to bed.
I was going to say, what time do you... So you go to bed about 9:30, 10?
Yeah, 9:30, 10.
What time does Aaron go to bed?
Maybe 11:30, 12.
Wow. And you rise at the same time?
No, I was going
to say, he'll have to make up for the hours.
Yeah, well, he will. So when I'm going up to Brisbane, I'll usually get out of bed, start getting ready, and then he's like laying in bed, waking up slowly. And then as
you're about at 5 a.m., 5:30.
if I'm going to the gym, I'll get up and go to the gym and leave him in bed, and then I'll come back, get ready, and then usually leave home at about 6:30 to jump on the train and go to Brisbane.
Sure.
Otherwise, we usually, now that it's getting dark earlier and the sun's coming up later, we usually get up at 6 and go for a surf because it's usually around sunrise then.
Sure.
So yeah. And then, so that's one. And then the other one is knowing what time of day you are most focused. So for me, I smash out a lot of my work sort of between 7 and 2 in the day, because that's when I'm super on the go. And then that's when I'll usually have music kicking in for the rest of the day. So like Aaron's so alert at night, if I need to get through a heap of stuff, I have to put a playlist on that's going to get me like super alert and active. And I know we just talked about like a heavy metal playlist or something like that, or an EDM playlist or something where it gets the heart rate up, gets you a lot more alert. And then I can work all night, but without it, I'm dead to the world. So I think figuring out, are you a morning person or a night person, playing to your strengths. So leveraging what your strength is and work during those times of day, whether it be doing your gym, doing your business, doing your study, doing your work, whatever it is. And then making sure you get into bed and getting some sleep. So I can't have less than sort of 7 hours sleep consistently, otherwise I'm no good to anybody by the end of the week. So
agreed.
Yeah.
Sleep, so vital.
Yes.
So guys, listen, sleep. Yeah. Well, like you said, there's times where you skim. You know, like you said, you find your minimums and your maximums, and you find out what you can get away with on certain days, training days, and then you kind of got to manage that. But sometimes I think a lot of people aren't aware of how important, especially for people who are active, you know, if you are doing resistance training, etc., or any sort of intensity or intense sport or output, if you like, that when they do get good sleep and they do get good nutrition, everything's in check and they feel amazing, you don't know what you don't know. It's like, wow, this is what it feels like to maybe be normal, or again, how you should feel like with lots of energy. And I think that's something that's really overlooked. Do you have any evening rituals or like bedtime rituals that you do before, like you go to bed or to get you ready in the morning?
I actually have rituals to get myself sleep ready. So because I'm so go, I have certain things I like to do so that I get a good night's sleep. And so one of them is I turn all the lights off around the house, and we'll leave the light on in the office because Aaron's working, but I turn the light off in the bedrooms and the lounge rooms and the kitchen and start to set a dark environment. I'll then have a shower right before I go to bed because it reduces your body temperature. I'll often put on a Netflix comedy or something, especially if I've been, because when you're studying and working so much, it actually burns a lot of calories with mental power. And so to slow the brain down and get it ready to sleep so I'm not dreaming about my work, I'll put something on Netflix so that way I'm not thinking about
distract,
it. Just and it doesn't have to be anything. I love comedies.
I was going to say,
love comedies.
any recommendations while we're on the topic? What does Jade watch on Netflix?
I watch a lot of comedy stuff, so like The Good Place or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or like stand-up comedies or like comedy movies.
Something that's like happy,
light-hearted, but easy to watch, I think, is the biggest key, because if I have to think, again, my brain's not going to slow down. So I like to just watch something that's easy to watch. I often will not make it past half an hour, and then Aaron will come in and turn it off. But if my mind's quite active, I might make it the whole way through. But yeah, that then puts me in a good frame of mind so that I have a really good sleep. I did go through phases where I did that sleep app or the meditation app before bed.
Like a Calm, I think it's one, and there's a few others. But how did you find that?
I loved it too. That worked just as well. I just find sometimes I like to feel like I have a bit of me time, and sometimes watching a movie, it feels like you're having me time, whereas
it's like a choice.
It's like a choice, whereas meditation before bed can sometimes feel like it's a routine and not so much a choice, like a relaxation thing, if that makes sense. Which is odd to say because meditation is a choice, but it feels a lot more structured as opposed to...
It can feel like a chore until you get really good at it, and even then, I mean, it's arguable because you could say, well, it is enjoyable, but I think it just gets, you have to invest so much time before it becomes enjoyable, where for most people...
I think there are days where you feel like it, and there are days where you don't. So the days I don't, I watch Netflix. The days I do, I'll put Calm on. So I find they're sort of all my hacks that I do, and it keeps me in check. And you can tell when I'm out of routine because I'm just mentally a lot more drained, I'm not as happy, and I'm known around the office as being the extremely positive and happy one. So whenever something's off, everyone notices and they're all like, what's going on? And be like, oh, I haven't had enough sleep, or I haven't.
Because I don't think I've ever seen you really like down or negative or angry. That's something I never really, I'm not that we spend every waking moment together, but over the period that I've known you, you're very consistent, I've got to say, which is good. It's a good sign of someone with routine and structure, right? Yeah, exactly.
And it's usually around the exam times or assignment times when I'm not getting enough sleep and I've got to invest more hours that I start to get, I'm never angry or upset, but it's more I start to get a lot more drained, so like the output of energy, because I'm always putting out so much, starts to slow down, so then I can appear a lot more flat. That's because I'm going into self-preservation mode as opposed to giving all the time, giving of my energy. And I don't like that. So I always try and make sure I keep some structure because, I like to make sure the interactions I have with people are always positive and upbeat. So
sort of you putting your best foot forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, giving yourself, the best chance to succeed, right?
Exactly.
To a degree.
Yeah.
Okay, then here's a question for you, Jade. If you could go back and speak to your younger self, let's say you could speak to yourself when you were at Woolworths. When you were still there before you'd made that transition into the paralegal realms, etc. If you could just go back and speak to yourself then for 5 minutes, what were the main things, apart from the obvious, inventing Apple and all that, what are the main things that you would say to yourself, or the key points to perhaps fast forward your progress to where you are now, or put yourself in better stead?
Yep. I think one of them would be always listen to your intuition and your body, and try and put some thought into what your goals are, where you want to go, because I spent a lot of my 20s drifting and not really knowing what I was trying to accomplish, what my goals are. And I'm not saying you need to be so rigid and structured that you know what every waking moment of your day, week, your life's going to be, but it's more, so I love to travel and I want to travel so much. So it would be like, okay, Jade, you love to travel. So what you need to do for now and the rest of your life is put plans in place that are going to support that passion of yours. So set your business up, I'll give yourself the flexibility, go on holidays regularly, do things that are going to make you feel alive, like go surfing, skateboarding, train with friends. Try to make sure that the passion and the spark stays in everything that you do. Don't do something for so long that you get bored with it without exploring what's the next thing I can do to keep the passion and spark alive. And I've been, ever since I sort of cottoned on to all of this in my late 20s, I've been very consistent with doing it, and I just wish I had have done that from a young age, because I would have accomplished so much more throughout my 20s, as opposed to hitting my mid to late 20s and then starting to accomplish all this stuff that is amazing, and I wish I had more time that I had accomplished it for. So
hindsight, it's a great thing. I can completely relate. But I think that's good, because perhaps for people who can take that on board and acknowledge that, and again, there's no right or wrong, like you said, it's sometimes better late than never, right? You figure out what works for you, and you have to go through these experiences sometimes to get to where you want to be, or maybe to get that clarity.
I think one more thing I forgot to mention is that breaking molds is an extremely passionate subject of mine, because I've broken so many molds in my life, in my family, in my environment, in everything, to sort of create a life that I want and create a life that I'm proud of. And I think that when you are preliminary to that phase, you tend to think certain things are impossible.
Yes.
And I remember when I was at Woolies, I thought certain things were impossible because I didn't have an education, and I didn't come from a family where anybody had done that. And so it's sort of like, oh no, that's only for people who have had a certain upbringing or a certain environment or certain support. And I think that if I was to tell anybody else or myself, it would be nothing's off the table. Literally, you can accomplish anything in this world. If you want to be a DJ in Tomorrowland, absolutely you can be. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but absolutely you can be. If you want to be a doctor, go for it. You can do it. Like, there is nobody who's not smart enough to do it. You're going to have more obstacles than others, but it doesn't mean you can't accomplish it. You just need to apply yourself in a different way. So nothing is off the table. And I think that when you start to have that mentality that, okay, well, if nothing's off the table, what is it that I want to do? Then that's when the magic starts to happen.
Because then you have options.
Yeah, whether it be with your fitness, with your lifestyle, with your business, with your health, it doesn't really matter. And it's funny, I went out to dinner last week with a friend of mine, and he's very successful and has, I think, 18 businesses. Like, he's got a lot. He's on a board of 18 different businesses.
Wow.
And he said to me, when you start to get to a point where success is there, it's easy, it's normal. Like, you're talking with millionaires and billionaires, so your problems are millionaire and billionaire problems, like how do I minimize tax, right? And like yes. or how do I invest my money. He said the thing that starts to become a focus is your health. So you'll see a lot of millionaires and billionaires investing in cryo chambers and other things to try and preserve their health, because they've hacked success, so now they want to live longer to enjoy that success.
Yes,
so
correct.
I think that's interesting from that point of view as well, that we take our health for granted before we achieve success, but once you get it, right?
Well, it should be a continuum, I think.
Yeah.
That's like, it's like a given, isn't it? It's like we breathe oxygen, we need it.
Yeah.
We should always invest in our health, because it's always going to aid us. And like you said, I think that sometimes that does come at a sacrifice. A really good point with some people that are very successful, they've almost burned themselves out because maybe they didn't work smart, they didn't have those hacks, and then, like you said, they got to a point now where they've got all this money and wealth and time, but their time is actually limited by the very thing that is now the most valuable. So again, it's like a full circle, which I'm sure I could talk a lot about that actually, but you really struck a chord with me about that last point. I couldn't agree more about the mindset, about there is nothing off the table. Impossible is nothing.
Exactly.
Anything is achievable if, like you said correctly, you're going to put the work in. It's not as easy as saying, I'm going to do this and then just going, it's going to happen. No, you have to take action, and there's a process to it. Yeah. But like you said, if you've got that mindset, then it does open up the possibility to go, well, if that is the case, which it is, and people live in a box, but there is no box, sky's the limit. What do you want to do? Like, what is the one thing that you would do? And that's how everyone should approach life. But as you said, I was there as well. You have these preconceived ideas, and you think, I'm this is how I was born, and I'll always be this, or I'll always have that. And some people are just born this way and that way. But then you realize, again, keyword, breaking the mold, that is not actually the case. And I think everyone should realize that. And if we can inspire people to realize that, we live in a more creative world again, and we've got these amazing people around us, these pioneers that innovate. And it is important to find something that you're passionate about and that you love and do it, because that's a life worth living, right? Even if you had a go, you can look back and go, I found what I loved, and at least I did it for as long as I could.
We can't take money to the grave,
well,
but we can look back on our memories that flash before our eyes right before we die. So
that's it. And but I do believe if you do find a thing that you love, success will come. That's
I agree.
The thing I've learned the hard way, like you, floating through most of my 20s to the point where when you do something you love and you've got the success and the money is just a byproduct of that. You don't think about that so much anymore. Of course, it's a key element. You track the measurables, but
it's because you're leading with value instead of trying to make money.
Yes.
Because you love it, so you just want to do it anyway. So you're leading with value.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point that people can take away. And if they take away one thing from that podcast, that would be one of the main points.
Lead with value.
Yes, in my opinion. All right, so let's get into some rapid fire questions. Okay. These ones are a bit of fun to a degree. Light-hearted, some of them are heavy-hearted as well. But they are designed to just provoke a response. One that is authentic. So don't dwell on it too long. Just hit it and answer it as you would, I guess, or how you feel best. So first one is, if you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
I would fly. Because ever since I was a little kid, I used to dream of being able to fly. And I think being able to not be limited by geographical boundaries and being able to explore and see every single corner of this amazing world that we live in would just fill my soul with so much joy. There's so much beauty out there to see. And I just hate that I have to physically get from point A to point B.
Where these birds could just...
they could just go.
Aerodynamics.
The other one would be to be able to breathe underwater.
Oh, yes.
I've dreamt about doing that before too.
Right.
And I think because
That would be cool.
That would be really cool.
You need the eyesight for it as well. When you want the better eyesight, so you can really get the clarity of
the visuals.
Especially when you go down deep, right?
There's so much underwater that we haven't even explored yet.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the ratio is, but I think it's like a third of the world that is still untouched is beneath us, and everyone's going above and beyond. But it's sometimes the answers are right here.
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
So I want to go above to be able to explore everywhere and see everything that this beautiful world has naturally, and then go underneath and be able to see everything underwater too.
There you go. You could see you was like a Wonder Woman figure.
No, it's not about Wonder Woman. Wouldn't be kicking everyone's ass.
Yeah. Usually, no, I'm not saving you, mate. I'm actually exploring. I'm just going travelling.
Get out there. There's a beautiful sight behind you.
Exactly. I'll save you later.
Yeah.
What about? Okay. The next question is, if you could, would you choose to live forever?
No.
Why not?
Because if you lived forever, I feel as though it would almost become a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I was the only one living forever, I would be forever saying goodbye to people. And it would almost be like you would feel as though once you've seen everything, you've done everything, unless there were other galaxies and worlds you could explore. Like, I think it would be a curse, because eventually it would become too much pain in your life, having to constantly develop new relationships, say goodbye to people, say goodbye to people, and not knowing that there's an end in sight for you yourself. I think as humans, we are born knowing one thing and one thing only, and that is that we're going to die. So it makes everything that we do between the day that we're born and the day that we die meaningful, because we know for a certain that we're going to die one day. So we're trying to make choices that are going to result in us having no regrets and fond memories. But if you take away that certainty of knowing you're going to die, what's the purpose?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does raise some interesting thoughts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because people would argue that living forever is better, but then when you really think about it, it would just be worse. It would just be as worse, if not worse.
Exactly.
Because you would never be able to finish anything.
No.
And at first it would be good for maybe
100%.
the first 1,000 years,
say,
give or take, if you've got...
And once you've done everything, and you're kind of like, well, what now? Like, now it's just my life on repeat. And
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe that would be more agonising. But I always find that's an interesting question, hence why I always ask my guests, because I find it's interesting to get other people's perspective on it as well.
Yeah, I had thought about it before when I used to watch those vampire movies.
Yes, exactly.
And that's how I kind of...
But at least they've gotten out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Staying through the hard, or depending what type of vampire you are.
Yeah.
All right, and my last rapid fire question is, if you had to have, or you could only eat one food group for the rest of your life, what would it be? And you can pick like savoury and sweet, dinner and dessert, or you can pick two main food groups. And it can be a meal, it doesn't have to be one food on its own. Like, it doesn't have to be bananas.
Fruit and veggies? Or do I have to pick a fruit?
Specifically.
Oh.
Yeah. So, like, if it's fruit and veg, what fruit? What vegetable? Because that's good, because that's like sweet and savoury.
Oh, that's tough. That's so tough.
I said that's tougher than the dying question.
It is, because I have so much variety. I can't think of just eating one thing.
What about if I reframed it like this then? If you had one last meal, what would it be? You could only have one. Not like you were going to die, but you could only eat one more time, and then they changed the technology. You didn't have to eat ever again. What would your last meal be?
Do you know, I'm a simple kind of gal. There are two meals that are my all-time favourites. One is chips with chicken salt on a fresh white sandwich.
What? No, that's like a British thing, a chip butty.
Oh, chip sandwich with a bit of barbecue sauce on top.
Jesus, that's so British.
Yum.
I've never heard anyone say that apart from like a Brit come with that. I did not expect that. Touche. That's what we call a chip butty. Woo! That is like...
has to be loaded
that
with
is
chicken
simple.
salt.
Oh yeah.
And then the second thing is I love baked bean and cheese jaffle sandwiches.
A jaffle?
It's where you get two pieces of bread, you put your baked beans and your cheese inside of it, and it's like a toasted sandwich. But they're not flattened, they have like the hollow, and you stick the bread inside of it, and then the piece of bread that goes on top is curved on top and kind of squishes it with like this imprint from the jaffle maker.
Oh, I see. Yeah, the ones where like when you eat it, I love those.
Yeah.
They're my favourites.
Baked bean and
then
cheese.
they're really hot,
Yeah.
and you want to eat them, but because it keeps all the yes. My friend's dad used to make those, and they were the best.
Now that I'm vegan, though, I'm extremely curious to try jackfruit and vegan cheese.
The jackfruit.
Because I really like the braised steak as well, and cheese. But yeah, I reckon the jackfruit and cheese would be good as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
See, food always is a good topic.
Yeah.
Always a good topic. There's some good picks. I like it. I've actually got a jaffle maker then.
Do you?
Sandwich. Yeah. I bought one from Aldi. It's $10. I was like, I'm having that.
I've got to go
during
get
comp
one.
prep. Yeah. But it's got to be, like you said, you got the sandwich pressed, but then the one that seals it, even though it's much more effort and you can't get much in it, I just feel there is something.
It's very satisfying.
Yes.
Especially when you break it in half and then you got two halves that are, it's so good.
Well, I chatted to...
I got a question for you after that.
Just a side topic, go for it. Side topic was... I was telling her about it, and she was someone else who was like, yes, I really love them. And then she's like, you've got to try it. And she gave me like 3 recipes, because she says you can make like dessert, like it doesn't matter. So she gave me this one with like banana and Nutella, and it was like banoffee pie in there with like, it was so good. I'll have to get a recipe off her. So
that's delicious.
Yeah.
I do love banoffee pie.
There is some good ones, but fire your question.
My question for you is, if you were given
out of the way of the song.
you're given a tiny teddy, what do you eat first?
A
tiny teddy.
The tiny teddies.
The little tiny teddy bears with the head and the ears and the arms and the legs and the body.
I have only had a few of them, and that was in New Zealand.
Did you eat all of it, or did you nibble off certain?
I'm greedy, so I threw 1 or 2 in at a time.
So it's kind of a thing here in Australia where we nibble on certain parts. Some people are feet first, some people are arms first, some people are ears first, some people are head first.
I'd probably take the head.
You'd probably take the head?
I'd probably take the head.
Part of it.
Yeah. I don't know, because I think... No, I did. The first time I had one, I just threw it in because I was more focused on someone said, try this, because I was from England. So I wasn't really... I was like, oh yeah, biscuit. Yeah, it was nice. And then they did the flavours, right? Like some of them chocolate chips. I think some had icing.
Yeah, honeycomb.
So if something had icing, I would go for the icing bit first. And I would probably, like for example, say it's a biscuit with icing, I would suck the icing off first. Yeah. Or like if there's a chocolate, eat the chocolate and then leave the white, that. Yeah, I'd probably
I'm a
take
feet first.
You're a feet first?
I nibble on the feet first and the ears.
What does this mean? Is there like a meaning if you're feet first, head first? No?
No. It was funny, we were at a cafe yesterday morning having breakfast with some friends, and we had our coffees come out and there was a little tiny teddy on the spoon. I was nibbling on the feet first, and I look over and Aaron's like, the feet are missing off my tiny teddy. They came out with no feet on it. And I was like, imagine someone out in the kitchen just nibbling all the feet off the tiny teddy.
I was just going to say, they've got someone out there who's got the...
Who's also a feet first.
The tiny teddy fetish, yeah. Well, there you go. Well, there's another one. Couldn't help themselves.
He didn't eat the tiny teddy.
No, just in case. Did I find marks in it? We'll never know where the other half went.
No, exactly.
The little things you do. All right, so my last question is a bit more of a serious one. It's the question that I finish off the podcast with. I ask all my guests this because it's something that's close to my heart, and it usually derives some of the best knowledge for the viewers. And it's also good to hear as well from my perspective. So I want you to identify one main fear that you've had in your life, be anything, and I want you to talk us through what that fear was, how you overcame it, if you did overcome it, and what were the benefits of overcoming that fear.
So I'm extremely petrified of heights. Have not overcome it, so I won't talk about it.
Okay, fair enough.
The other fear I have is I'm actually so petrified of heights to the point where if I go into a skyrise balcony, I have to go out on my own because I don't trust that somebody won't knock me and push me. And I won't go all the way to the edge. I'm so scared of heights.
How high though does this occur? Because like for example, say we were on just a condo. Like say we had
if we were on your roof here,
I
would be comfortable in the middle area, but I wouldn't come near the edge.
Oh, so even that's high enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even a 2-story house with a balcony would be a little bit.
Yeah, unless I lived there and I was familiar with it and I was like in an environment I was comfortable and knew the balcony wasn't going to collapse and I wasn't going to fall on the ground or something like that. But and from new environments and petrified of heights. But the other fear is fear of success. And I think this one's probably more relevant to you and your listeners as well. Because
fear of success is a good one.
I think that everybody forgets that you can actually have fear of success because everybody ultimately wants success and everyone's striving to achieve success, whether it be to win a fitness comp or achieve the body that they want or do really well at work, get a promotion or launch a business that absolutely kills it and they make millions. Everybody wants it. But when you get to a point where you achieve success, a lot of people self-sabotage, myself included. And it's because you're so comfortable in a space where you haven't achieved it yet that you know what to do. You know the process, you know how to build, you know how to get yourself out of a situation. When you are standing in success's shoes and you're finally achieving that goal, or you're walking on that stage, or you're getting down to that goal weight, it's almost like, what's next? You're stepping into a realm that you haven't planned for, you haven't prepared for. You don't, because you don't know what it's going to entail. You don't know what to do next. So a lot of people, myself included, will sabotage myself to put myself back to a point where I know how to do something moving forward. I know how to rebuild. I know how to plan. I know how to execute. So I've actually implemented a lot of strategies now to overcome that fear of success by visualizing it. What does success look like? So if I'm working on having a really successful business through a particular product launch going really well, what does that product launch going really well look like? What do I feel about? How do I feel about it? What do I do with the money? Whose lives am I impacting? How is that impacting my life going forward? And I think once you think and you visualize it so much, it's not scary, it's not unknown, it's not unfamiliar, and you almost feel comfortable in that space, that when you do get there, it's not an unknown feeling and you're already planning for the next thing. And it's not to be mistaken with not being in the moment. I think you definitely need to still be in the moment, but by enabling yourself to visualize and experience something before it happens, like winning your comp. A lot of people will get up on stage and they might freeze and freak out, and they don't do their posing moves because they don't know what it, they're scared of, winning or what people judging them, and so they kind of self-sabotage themselves by not doing it. But if you visualize yourself getting up there, absolutely nailing those moves, the judge is giving you that award, and you embrace all of that feeling before it happens. When it does happen, you're almost ready to enjoy the moment because it's not so unknown.
Or shocked, yeah.
Or shocked, yeah. So that's how and I've actually got a friend of mine, she's got a company where they help people find their purpose, and she's a clinical psychologist. She asked me the same question you asked me, and when I told her that response, she said that's actually what she teaches people to do in the job.
There you go.
So
to say that's a very unique response. I've never, even not just on the podcast, because it's a question I've asked of sorts over the years, being curious. So I've never had a response like that. That's really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
And it's been through trial and error. Like, I've done the wrong thing. I've self-sabotaged, taken 3 steps backwards and gone. And then I'm very much an analyzer. I will think and analyze myself, what I do, what happens around me.
Yeah. Too much, right?
Exactly. And I'll critically analyze, well, why did I take those steps back? What am I really scared of? And is it and then I come down to the fact that it's because I'm comfortable in this space and I'm not comfortable in this space, like in the success space. So I need to have a plan. Okay, so how am I going to get comfortable? And so it works. It's a really powerful tool. Yeah.
No, and thank you for highlighting it, because it's not even though the end result and the result of it may be common, identifying the root cause of it, or maybe aiming to put a label on it and recognize it, is something that is very seldom mentioned. So that's a really good takeaway. Yeah. I think, Jade. So thank you for sharing that one.
You're welcome.
I think
it doesn't work with fear of heights, though.
No.
I even tried jumping out of a plane, and I'm still petrified of heights.
Yeah, so you skydive.
Yeah, I loved it.
That really?
Yes, that's so bizarre.
Strange.
And do you know why? Because the ground is so far down, it doesn't seem real.
Maybe. Okay, so
I will never bungee jump.
I love. This might be the same thing with me, right? Because, and it could be a control thing, because when I love going fast. For those who know, I've had a background in motor racing. I love speed and extreme stuff. But roller coasters, I've been on them. I enjoy them, but I don't really like them.
Is it because they're so dodgy you're worried about the braking?
I think that is now, because to be honest, quite frankly, I'm glad I've not been on, because there seems to be a lot breaking, but I don't like it. People are like, but Alex, you love going fast. This is a roller coaster. Yeah. But you know what it is? I'm not in control.
Yeah.
When I'm going 100, 200, whatever it is, Ks, miles an hour in the cars and the bikes or whatever it is, I'm in control. Even I know it's like if I come off, I can kill myself, but I'm in control of it.
And if you come off, it's your fault.
Yeah. Where like maybe you said on the balcony, you go out yourself.
Yeah.
But that's because control.
Yeah.
Where if there's someone there, you're at it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
maybe that's got something to do with it. But then
Yeah.
the skydiving thing, maybe you thought, well, I'm not in control, but I am in control because it's a standardized procedure and they're going to pull the chute.
I think
No.
for me it was just because I looked down and I did a tandem one where I was in front of somebody else and they sort of push you to the edge of the plane and your feet are dangling and you're just looking down. My feet were going they get like this tingling feeling and then I was
Because you're like
"Ooh,
apprehending
here we
the.
go."
Do you get that like falling feeling?
Yes.
I want to do it. It's on my to do list.
It's the best thing ever. And
good.
then he just pushes you out and you're just like, oh, it's amazing. And so then you just, the site, I did it in New Zealand and I did it in the middle of winter and it was so cold.
Yeah,
but I just
crazy.
had like Ugg boots on and a big jumpsuit. And anyway, when I did it, you fell through. So above the cloud cover was the mountain peaks and it was full of snow. And then you fall through the cloud cover and it's just green gullies. And it was just,
Wow.
I couldn't look enough.
Queenstown?
Just outside of Queenstown.
Beautiful.
Yeah, couldn't look enough. I was just staring at everything. Like this is what I said about flying. Like
Yes.
there's so much to see. I was just so mesmerized that I wasn't concerned about going splat on the ground.
Yeah.
So, and I figured if I did, I was going to die anyway. So it was such a high.
Yeah.
High up,
It'd be
so
over so
it would
fast.
be over like that. It was not like I'd be in pain. So
Yeah,
I just was
exactly.
enjoying every single moment of it.
That's
So,
brilliant.
Yeah. But then my cousin went and did bungee jumping and she's like, come do that. And I was like,
Yeah. See, I'm like that too. Like, I'm keen to jump out of a plane, no issue. But to bungee jump, no. Just because it's and you're going up and down, and you actually feel like you do. You can touch the water or you can hit the ground. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Definitely skydiving seems to be the better way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, the better way to do it.
100%.
So yeah. no,
Record it. I actually recorded my experience.
I was gonna say, did you?
Yeah,
That would have been great.
Yeah, I did it just before I met Aaron. I actually met Aaron a week before I went. And
There
then I
you
did
go.
it and I came back and I showed him and he's just like, this is hilarious. The look on your face.
I was going to
is
say that's not
amazing."
something that you would have thought someone with a fear of heights would have done.
No.
But again, you need to do these things, push
Yeah.
yourself out your comfort zone. Did I always ask this as well? People who skydive, do you think that was like a bit of a? Did it feel like kind of flying? Was that something? Yeah.
He was like, okay, I'm going to pull the chute now. I was like, can we go a bit longer? Like,
Well.
he's like, no, I need to pull the chute. I'm like, okay, if you must.
Because apparently it goes so fast.
You do. And
Yeah.
your cheeks are like, it's like the G-force in your cheeks is amazing.
Yeah.
And it does. You feel like you're flying. And it's amazing.
So you're like, let's do that again.
Yeah, can we do it again?
I think that's why most people like to go up and down. The people get addicted to it, right? And
Yeah.
because it's over so fast, and you
Yeah.
want that. The more, what do they call it, flight time or
Yeah.
drop time, or that you can get is the best
Yeah.
sort of thing. But yeah, such an amazing.
When I was a kid, I used to
experience.
dream about flying, and I used to dream that I would run on the ground, and then I would just jump up and push, and then I'd glide along the ground, and then I'd go up. I did some research into it, and some people reckon that a lot of like the dreaming sequence is related to like astro traveling or something, where your spirit can go in and do that, like go off and
Yeah.
fly and do that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And I've always been like, that would be amazing to do. Imagine being able
That would, I must admit, always been on top of my list.
Yeah.
Fly,
Yeah.
Superman,
Yeah.
superpower, just any sort of gliding or
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
then you often try and rationalize in your own mind. Could the physics? Could we do?
Yeah.
Could I just you know, you jump and yeah, there's little things, but and maybe that's the inner child in us, but you know, maybe one day, I don't know.
I suppose
Adaptation,
everybody wants
science.
to. That's why kids jump off roofs, right?
That's why I climb trees.
Yeah.
I still try to jump out of them. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, I think we need to keep that ambition alive, right? It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Jade, thank you for your time.
No worries.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for having me.
sharing your experiences. Much appreciated. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about you, or perhaps they want to, you know, find out more about your business endeavors, or how you can help them with their own business endeavors?
Yeah. So I've got a couple of different platforms. If you're an existing business, whether it be small or large, and you're looking to do some restructuring, maybe do some improvements within your business, find some more working capital cash flow, or looking to expand, then I work at PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Mhm.
So you can get in touch with me there on LinkedIn. The other option is if you're launching a business, have a business idea, have recently launched a business, and you're sort of wanting to have a bit of a diagnostic and know whether you've set it up properly, you've got the right foundations and structure for growth. JadeStart is my business that I have outside of work. And I have a lot of online courses that I'm doing at the moment. I've built 2 and I've just got my 3rd one to finish off, which will be done by Easter. And it's
exciting.
designed, yes, so it's designed to take everybody from as far back as I want to come up with a business idea, right the way through to I've got an idea, I need to know who my primary market's going to be and if there is a market, right the way through to setting it all up, launching it, post-launch, all the resources, contacts, templates, plans, everything you need to sort of do that process. So that's JadeStart.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And we'll put all those links as well in the show notes below for those of you watching the video or listening to it on iTunes or YouTube, whatever you may be. Jade, thank you once again. Perhaps we'll have to do round 2 at some point.
Yes.
Touch base and see how everything's going business-wise, and perhaps we can delve more into those biohacks or whatever else we come up with between now and then. Thank you again. Appreciate it. As always, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you've not already, give it a like and subscribe for more on iTunes. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe as well for more updates and more podcasts where we talk everything nutrition, training, and lifestyle. And as always, guys, until the next episode, stay fearless.